Alright guys, today we're going to be discussing stand placement. We're going to be talking about the 3 things I look for when hanging a new set. And that's going to be access, high odds, and lastly is going to be time of year. We'll start with time of year because that's going to have to do with this set right here where we're at. This is a timber pond we're standing next to. We're hanging a new Novik stand up right now over this timber pond. Last year I ran a trail camera in here, a cell cam, was monitoring it, was getting intel, had some really big bucks. Big 10 point I was after showed up in here, and I was gonna do a hang a hunt in this set, but he ended up showing up in another food source that evening, so we didn't hang a stand in this spot. Fast forward to this year, we're getting in here nice and early, getting the stand hung up, we're getting this whole area trimmed out. We mowed a trail coming out of this bedding area down here. We already got does coming through here, drinking out of this timber pond. So when I'm looking for a stand location, I'm looking for the time of year I think I'm going to be hunting this area. I go ahead, I plan that out, and I stick to it. If I think this spot's going to be good early November, then I'm going to wait until November to come in here. I don't want to come in, leave a bunch of scent behind before this spot really heats up. The nice thing about running trail cameras last year is it gave me all the intel I needed. It wasn't until about October 26, 27 before big bucks really started cruising these doe bedding areas and coming down in this timber pond to get a drink. They did show up a couple times in the middle of October, but it was usually at night and it wasn't something I could capitalize on. So this set right here, I'm getting it hung up nice and early in the summer. We'll have a ton of rain, we'll have a ton of time in between now and November for this to settle out. And when I slip in here, it's gonna be a one and done type deal. I'm gonna wait for the highest odds, high pressure, good cold front, time of season, and I'm gonna make sure when I come in here, I'm after a specific buck or a couple bucks in the area. And if you hold off, you stick to your schedule and you hold off until the time is right, it's gonna increase your odds. So the second thing that I focus on after I figure out the time of year is gonna be access. For this spot, this isn't the greatest access, but it's fairly decent. It's decent for a morning set. When deer are out in the cornfields and the soybean fields, I can slip in here early in the morning before they get back to bed, and then I'm already settled in. They'll come off these big bedding areas up top here, down into this timber pond. They'll be sitting checking for does. They'll be walking back and forth. I'll already be tucked in. This is the type of set where I'm gonna probably sit all day. It's not the greatest access, so once you get in here, if you get in here clean, you're gonna wanna capitalize, you're gonna wanna take advantage of it, and you're gonna wanna stay in here all day. So I've already noted that this is a morning set. This is gonna be a risky set. This is gonna be something I'm gonna wait till November to set up in. And once I'm in here, I'm gonna hunt all day, pack snacks, food, whatever you have to do. So plan that ahead of time. It's gonna help you in the long run. Don't just come in, hang this stand, hunt a couple times in October, hunt a couple times in November, maybe come back in December. If there's no strategy, it's not going to be very likely that you're going to harvest a mature buck, even if this is a high odds area, because you're not hunting it effectively. If you're coming in here each evening and hunting it, and the thermals are dropping at night and it's pushing it right down in this muddy hole right here before it gets to the pond, when those deer come off these hillsides, as they're coming down the hill using the thermals as they come down, all that scent's going to be pushed right into them, and they're going to likely turn around, blow, take off up the hill, and probably end up burning this stand. That doesn't mean you won't have another chance, but it definitely makes it harder after you've bumped a bunch of deer. So wait for November if that's the time. When hanging new sets, I really like to mark them out. I really like to have a plan in mind before I put the stand up in the tree. So I know this is November. I know that the access isn't great, but now the next thing I need to keep in mind is going to be what's the odds of a mature buck using this? Well, what it told me on trail camera last year, running our Tacticams, our cell cam, not having to come in here, not having to leave a bunch of scent behind, it was telling us that there were mature bucks cruising here from about 8 o'clock until like 1 to 2 p.m., which tells me that they were coming in here after their morning feed. They were waiting a little bit longer on the fields, and when they were coming in these areas, they were scent checking for does. I hardly ever had a buck slowly walking through this area. They were head to the ground, grunting, moving fairly quickly, which told me that they were chasing, they were seeking, and they were scent checking does. So now that I know this is a high odds area, bucks are gonna be in here come November, and as long as I get in here clean, then I'm gonna have a good chance at harvesting mature buck this season in this spot. So what did I do to increase my chances of getting in here as far as access goes? This is quite a ways in the timber. It's a little bit of a walk, but what I did do for myself was I blocked off an area in front of my deer stand and kind of force deer to go out and around, and I mowed a trail out with my brush mower to create a good, nice, clean trail with short vegetation that I'll likely come through and I'll weed whack one more time, maybe late August, early September. I'm just gonna weed whack just a walking path, just low enough that I can get in nice and quiet. Because after all, if you take all the time to set up cell cams, to hang your set, to trim out all your shooting lanes, to brush mow trails off bedding, to enhance bedding areas, and then you come clunking in early in the morning, breaking branches and sticks and crunching leaves, you're gonna likely mess that spot up way before you ever get to your deer stand. With that being said, the number one thing when hanging new stands is gonna be the time of season that you think that stand's gonna be effective. Have sets for early season, have sets for late season, have sets for November, have sets for, pre-rut, post-rut. Constantly be running trail cameras and trying to change your tactics. I try to find all my highest odd areas and go ahead and I hang stands in those spots. So I have areas that year after year are really good areas to hang stands. I call them traditional spots, or spots that I know mature bucks are going to come year after year. And then I also keep a couple stands at home with some climbing sticks so I can stay mobile. That way, as season's progressing, I'm not behind the movement. I can keep up with it. If I see a buck moving in an area, I don't want to wait until next year. I don't even want to wait until next week before I get a stand in there. I might want to go in that night, get a set in. Just make sure that you're taking notes. You think about your access. You think about your stand location. Think about what kind of odds do I have here. And then at the end of the day, it all comes down to time of year. You need to beat them to that spot. So last year I knew that November 1st through the 6th, there was a lot of big bucks in here. I don't want to wait until the 6th. I want to get in here November 1st. I want to be here the first day they start cruising this area looking for does. Hopefully that'll help you guys out this season. If you're not already out there hanging stands, get out, get some stands hung up in traditional spots, and then have a couple hang-on stands at home that you can take out with you during the rut. Thanks for tuning in on this week's episode, guys. We'll see you soon.